The rumors about the USS Blackstar had traveled through every hallway of human fleet command for years. Some officers laughed when they heard the stories. Some became silent. Some only whispered. No one knew the truth. No one wanted to know. But Captain Vale knew. He stood alone inside Dock Hangar 19, a place that almost no one visited. The hangar lights were dim, as if trying to hide the giant shadow resting inside. The USS Blackstar. A ship that should not exist. A ship built in secret. A ship that felt wrong the longer someone looked at it. Vale watched it quietly. Its black hull reflected no light. It looked more like a silhouette than metal. No markings. No numbers. No symbol of the human fleet. Only darkness. Behind him, Commander Rhea entered the hangar, her voice echoing softly. "Sir, command just confirmed. The Vraxis destroyed Fleet Crimson in 7 minutes." Vale did not move. "And the survivors?" he asked. "There are none," Rhea replied. Her voice trembled, not out of fear of the aliens, but of the ship in front of them. Vale stepped closer to the Blackstar. Even from the outside, he felt something like a heartbeat under the metal surface. Soft, slow, waiting. "We have no more fleets to send," Rhea continued. "Command says we must use this." She hesitated to say the ship's name. "The Blackstar," Vale finished for her. He placed his hand on the cold hull. The metal vibrated gently under his touch, as if greeting him. Rhea swallowed. "Sir, this ship was closed for a reason." "Yes," Vale said. "Because no one trusts what powers it." Rhea looked around nervously. "People say it was not built by us." Vale didn't answer. He simply walked toward the boarding ramp. As he approached, the ramp lowered on its own with a heavy metallic sound. Neither of them touched any controls. Rhea stepped back instinctively. It opened by itself. "It always knows when to wake," Vale said quietly. They entered the ship. Inside, the halls were smooth and dark, with faint blue lines glowing along the walls. The design was nothing like normal human ships. The corridors curved strangely, like the inside of a living creature. Every footstep echoed longer than it should. Lieutenant Harlow waited at the central station. He stood stiff, trying to hide his discomfort. "Captain," he greeted. "All systems are alive and ready." "Alive," Rhea repeated. Harlow corrected himself quickly. "Online. I meant online." But he hadn't meant that. Vale walked toward the command deck. "Status report," he ordered. "Energy reading stable," Harlow said. "But, sir, the core room doors opened 2 minutes before you arrived. No one activated them." Rhea glanced at Vale with fear in her eyes. "The core wants something." Vale said nothing. They reached the bridge. Every station lit up with soft pulses of light, as if the ship was breathing. The captain's chair turned toward Vale on its own. He sat, and the lights brightened, responding to him. "Is the crew ready?" he asked. "As ready as they can be on this ship," Harlow answered. Vale looked through the wide front screen, but the Blackstar didn't show the hangar outside. Instead, the screen displayed stars. Endless stars. A place they were not in yet. Rhea frowned. "Why is it showing jump space? We haven't left." Vale leaned forward. The stars on the screen were moving. Slow at first, then faster. "The ship is impatient," he said softly. A soft vibration ran through the deck. The engines warmed up without a single command. "Captain," Rhea began, panic rising in her voice. "It's preparing a jump." Vale placed his hand on the armrest. "Blackstar." "Wait." The engines hummed louder, but they obeyed. The ship stopped. Rhea exhaled shakily. "Sir, we cannot control it." "We can guide it," Vale said. "But we must not fight it." The intercom crackled suddenly. A deep hum filled the air. It sounded like a whisper, but no words. More like a presence. Harlow backed away from his station. "Did you hear that?" "It sounded like movement," Vale said. Rhea looked at him. "Movement of what?" Vale replied. "Of something old waking up." A blaring alarm from Fleet Command interrupted them. Harlow checked the incoming transmission. Captain, it's an emergency call. The Vraxis are moving toward the Orion line. They will reach human territory in less than 2 hours. Vale stood. Prepare for launch. Rhea stepped in front of him, eyes wide. Sir, we do not even understand this ship. We don't have time to understand it, Vale said calmly. If the Vraxis break the Orion line, Earth will be next. The Blackstar's engines roared softly, like a beast hearing its name. The hangar bay doors opened by themselves. Rhea looked around in fear. It's helping us. No, Vale said. It's hungry. The ship lifted from the dock. The lights dimmed, and the floor vibrated like a pulse. Set course for Orion line, Vale ordered. The ship didn't wait. Before anyone touched a control, the Blackstar jumped. The stars on the screen stretched into long white lines. The ship shot forward at impossible speed, the hull humming like a dark heart. Harlow whispered, Captain, we didn't initiate the jump. Vale stared at the shifting lights. No, he said. We didn't. The Blackstar had chosen the battle itself. And somewhere far ahead, enemy signals flickered. Vraxis warships. Hundreds of them. Vale tightened his grip on the armrest. The ship that should not exist, he murmured, is now our only hope. And the Blackstar rushed toward the war, as if it had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The USS Blackstar dropped out of jump space with a silent flash. No sound. No warning. No engine burn that other ships produced. It simply appeared, like a shadow stepping into light. Before the crew could adjust their vision, the ship's front screen lit up with crimson dots. Vraxis warships. Dozens. Then hundreds. They spread across the void like blades waiting to cut through anything human. Their sharp, spiked hulls pulsed with green fire. The Vraxis Dominion had no fear. They were bred without it. They destroyed planets, tore fleets apart, crushed whole colonies. But today, something made their formation slow. Something made their ships hesitate. Commander Rhea studied the enemy movement. Captain, they are changing formation. They sense the Blackstar, Vale replied. Harlow checked the scanners, but the readings confused him. Sir, the Vraxis are not charging. They are backing away. Rhea stared at the screen. That's impossible. They never retreat. Vale's eyes narrowed. They've never faced this ship. The Blackstar dimmed its lights, almost like closing its eyes. The deck vibrated gently. The glow along the walls brightened in slow pulses, like breathing. Rhea felt the hair on the back of her neck rise. It knows the enemy is here, she whispered. Vale did not look away from the screen. No, it feels them. A deep hum echoed through the bridge. The ship was awake. Very awake. Across the void, on the Vraxis command vessel Vracail, the alien commander Dravik watched the Blackstar appear. His armored skin rippled in confusion. What is that? He growled. No signature, Commander, his officer hissed. No heat. No engine trail. No identification. It is empty. Dravik glared. No ship is empty. Then explain why our scanners detect nothing. Dravik flexed his claws, feeling a strange cold in his chest. It feels like a shadow. Shadows do not fight. Shadows do not bleed. But that thing feels like danger. The Vraxis did not feel fear. Not naturally. So what was this, pressure? He shouted. Prepare the mine shields. It might be a trap. But his voice trembled. He didn't understand why. Back on the Blackstar, Rhea still watched the enemy fleet rearrange in confusion. Harlow frowned. Sir, we haven't fired a single shot, but their ships are moving like they're under attack. Vale rose from his chair. Weapons ready? Yes, Harlow said. But the ship has not selected a target. That's good, Vale replied. We choose. Not it. The moment he said that, the lights flickered. The Blackstar disagreed. Rhea's console lit up with red symbols she had never seen. The ship locked onto a Vraxis destroyer, then 10 more, then 20. Captain, she shouted. It's choosing for us. Vale placed both hands on the armrests. Hold. Do not fire until I say. The ship vibrated harder. Then, something terrifying happened. Without permission, without command, the Blackstar fired. But not in any way the crew expected. A dark wave burst from the ship, silent, shapeless, invisible, like a shadow spreading across the void. The screen showed nothing at first. Then the Vraxis destroyers simply disappeared. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Harlow froze. Where did they go? Destroyed, Vale said quietly. But sir, there are no remains. The Blackstar removes what it wants to remove. The bridge became silent. Even breathing felt too loud. Rhea stared at the distant Vraxis fleet. They saw that. They're terrified. On screen, several Vraxis ships broke formation completely. Their movements became frantic, unpredictable. The Vraxis, creatures who did not fear anything, were afraid. The lights along the Blackstar's walls brightened to a sharp, pulsing blue. The deck shivered under the crew's feet. Rhea grabbed a railing. Captain, something's wrong. I feel pressure. Like the air is vibrating. Harlow wiped sweat from his forehead. It's the ship. It wants to attack again. Vale closed his eyes briefly. It's hungry. The whisper-like hum returned. This time it was louder, crawling across the walls. No words. Only a feeling. More. The Blackstar wanted more. Rhea shook her head. We need to control it before. Before she could finish, the screen flashed. Blackstar locked onto the Vraxis flagship. Captain, Harlow whispered. If it fires at that ship, the fleet will break. Not yet, Vale said firmly. We need information. We need one alive. The hum grew louder, almost angry. Blackstar, Vale said softly. Listen. The ship's lights flickered again. The energy pulse slowed. It listened. For now. Across the battlefield, Commander Dravik roared at his crew. What is this thing? It erased our ships without firing. One Vraxis officer trembled. Commander, our mind shields are weakening. The pressure. It feels like something is watching us. Dravik slammed his claws into the console. Ready all cannons. Fire everything. The Vraxis ships unleashed a storm of green plasma. The Blackstar did not move. The crew watched the attack rush toward them. Rhea gasped. Captain, they're firing on us. Vale remained calm. Hold steady. Thousands of plasma bolts hit the Blackstar. None of them exploded. None made a sound. They vanished the moment they touched the ship's hull. Harlow whispered. That's impossible. The Blackstar absorbs energy, Vale said, his voice heavy. And now, it's stronger. The ship hummed like a giant exhaling in satisfaction. Vale finally issued the order. Target the Vraxis flagship. Disable, do not destroy. The ship responded instantly. A dark beam formed. Thin. Sharp. Silent. It shot forward, passing through enemy ships without touching them. Yet every ship it passed flickered in panic. The beam touched the Vraxis flagship. It froze. Engines off. Weapons dead. Crew paralyzed. Rhea stared in shock. Sir, we didn't destroy them. No, Vale said. But we showed them something. Harlow asked, what did we show them? Vale answered, that humans have a weapon the Vraxis cannot understand, and cannot defeat. The lights on the Blackstar dimmed, as if smiling. The shadow ship waited for its next command. Or perhaps, its next prey. The Vraxis flagship floated helpless in space, frozen by the Blackstar's strange beam. The rest of the alien fleet slowed their advance, unsure whether to flee or fight. No one moved. No guns fired. The silence across the battlefield was thicker than smoke. But inside the Blackstar, something else was rising. A low rumble vibrated through the floors, not like engines, but like a growl. A sound too deep to belong to any machine. The walls pulsed with dim blue light, each pulse stronger than the last. Commander Rhea gripped her console. Captain, the ship's energy is increasing again. Harlow checked his readings, and his eyes widened. It's drawing power from the battlefield. Sir, the plasma attacks, the The fear signals from the Vraxis, even the debris. It's absorbing everything. Vale didn't react. The ship does that. It was designed or discovered that way. Rhea stared at him. You know something about the core. Something you never told us. Vale looked at the glowing lines across the walls, then at the deepest corridor of the ship. Follow me. The deeper they went, the darker the halls became. The lines along the walls no longer glowed blue. They shifted to a faint red, like veins pulsing with blood. The crew rarely came down here. Only Vale had the clearance. Rhea hesitated. Captain, why does the ship feel more alive down here? Because, Vale said without turning, this is where it truly wakes. Harlow swallowed loudly. We should not be here. We have no choice, Vale replied. If we want control, we must face it. They reached a large circular door. No panels. No locks. Just a smooth black surface. Vale placed his hand on it. The surface rippled under his fingers like liquid metal. Then the door slid open with a slow hiss. A warm, red glow spilled out. The room was vast and round, with curved walls that shimmered like the inside of a living shell. In the center floated a sphere, black as midnight, wrapped in red cracks that pulsed like a heartbeat. The core, Rhea whispered. This isn't human design. No, Vale said quietly. We only found it. Harlow stepped closer, mesmerized. Found it where? On the dead moon of Lyra 7, Vale answered. The whole place was silent. No life. No plants. No buildings. Only this sphere buried under the surface, still beating. Rhea felt her skin crawl. A dead world, with a living core? Not living, Vale said. Waiting. The hum inside the room grew louder, almost like a whispering voice. Low, echoing. Impossible to understand yet impossible to ignore. Harlow backed away. I don't like this. It feels like it's calling us. It is, Vale said. It calls anyone who enters. But it chooses only a few. Rhea finally faced him. Captain, why you? Why did the core choose you? Vale breathed slowly. His hands trembled, the first sign of fear he had shown since the mission began. When we found it, he said, the core woke up. It showed images. Memories. A race that built weapons beyond imagination. A race that destroyed itself because its own creations became too powerful. Rhea's voice softened. The core destroyed them? No, Vale said. They destroyed each other, because the core made them hungry for war. Harlow's eyes widened. Then why bring it here? Vale stared at the sphere. Because our leaders believed they could control it. They believed humans were different. He looked at the glowing cracks. But this core does not want peace. It wants conflict. It feeds on it. The hum sharpened, vibrating through their bones. Rhea stepped back. Captain, the ship fired without orders because the core wanted it? Yes, Vale said. The Blackstar is only the shell. The real danger is that. He pointed at the sphere. It wants more war, more destruction. And every time it feeds, it becomes stronger. Suddenly, the cracks on the sphere brightened. The hum rose into a deep tremor. Rhea shouted, Something's happening. The chamber lights flared red. The floor shook. The sphere released a burst of energy that hit all three of them like a wave. Harlow dropped to his knees. It's angry. No, Vale said, struggling to stand. It's hungry. The whispers grew louder. Still no words, but the intent clear. The core wanted the Vraxis fleet destroyed. Now, Rhea clutched the railing. Captain, we need to shut it down. We can't, Vale said. No human system can stop it. Then override it. Harlow shouted. Vale closed his eyes. I've tried. The sphere pulsed faster, stronger, brighter. The ship's intercom crackled. A voice, not machine, not human, echoed through every hallway. More. The core spoke through the ship for the first time. Rhea covered her mouth in horror. It's talking to us. Vale stared at the sphere with dread. It's telling us what it wants. Rhea grabbed Vale's arm. Captain, We cannot let this thing lead us. If it grows stronger, it will push for endless war. It will never stop. Vale stared at her. I know. Then we need a plan, she said, breathing hard. We need to find a way to control the ship before it controls us. Harlow pointed at the sphere. And if we fail, it will turn this war into something far worse. The core pulsed again, faster, glowing like an angry star. Vale knew what it meant. The Blackstar wanted to return to battle. And if they didn't stop it, the ship would destroy everything in its path. The core chamber shook for several seconds before the vibrations faded. The red glow dimmed, settling back into a slow, angry pulse. Captain Vale stood silently, staring at the sphere as if measuring its thoughts. Rhea and Harlow waited behind him, afraid to breathe too loudly. Finally Vale spoke. We're out of time. Rhea wiped sweat from her forehead. The Vraxis fleet is still out there, waiting. No, Vale corrected softly. They're preparing. When the three officers reached the bridge again, the screen already showed new enemy movement. Vraxis ships formed tighter formations, their lines glowing brighter, their engines charging with more energy than before. Harlow gasped. Sir, they're coming back. Full strength. Rhea frowned. But they were terrified. They still are, Vale said. But fear doesn't stop the Vraxis. It pushes them. They fight harder when cornered. Suddenly, an alarm beeped across Harlow's station. Captain, they're activating their mind shields. Rhea froze. Mind shields? I thought those creatures were only used for psychological war. Vale stepped closer to the screen. They've brought their strongest units. Shield bearers who block mental pressure. They believe the Blackstar is using fear as a weapon. Rhea swallowed. And are they wrong? Vale didn't answer. Commander Dravik stood inside his flagship, staring at the frozen systems the Blackstar had shut down. His claws tapped the console with frustration. Mind shields in position, he growled. Yes, Commander, one officer replied. The creatures are awake. Their minds are linked. Their fear resistance is rising. Good, Dravik snarled. Whatever that shadow ship is, it will not break our will. But even as he said the words, a faint tremble passed through his voice. Back on the Blackstar, the ship's lights flickered again. The hum rose, eager. Rhea felt it immediately. Captain, the core wants to strike. Vale shook his head. Not yet. But the ship disagreed. Without a single command, the Blackstar shifted position. Smooth, silent, like a predator stepping forward. Harlow grabbed the railing. It's moving on its own. The Vraxis fired first. A volley of green plasma lit the void. Hundreds of blasts streaked toward the Blackstar. But when they struck the hull, they melted into nothing. Rhea stared in complete shock. It absorbs their attacks like dust. The more they fight, Vale said quietly, the stronger it grows. Harlow's voice dropped to a whisper. Then the Vraxis are feeding it. The ship's walls brightened. The hum deepened. Something new was coming. Rhea checked her screen. Captain, the ship is preparing a new attack. Not a beam. Not a wave. Something different. What type? Vale asked. Harlow answered, voice trembling. I don't think any human system has a name for it. The Blackstar fired. But again, nothing appeared. No light. No weapon trail. Instead, an invisible distortion spread across the battlefield. A ripple. The nearest Vraxis ships flashed with static. Their lights flickered. Then the impossible happened. Their ships began to fold. Metal bending silently. Armor twisting inward, as though crushed by an invisible fist. No sound. No explosion. Just destruction. Rhea covered her mouth. Captain, it didn't even touch them. Harlow whispered. It's tearing them apart with nothing. The Blackstar pulsed brighter. Hungrier. But the Vraxis were not finished. Commander Dravik roared. Activate the counter-wave. All units. Now. From the center of their fleet, a massive surge of psychic energy burst outward. A scream, not sound, but force, swept across the void. It hit the Blackstar. The entire ship shook violently. Harlow stumbled. What was that? A mind attack, Vale said through gritted teeth. They're trying to crush the ship's will. The lights flickered red. The hum became a growl. Rhea clutched her console. Captain, the core is reacting. Badly. The ship's walls began to pulse faster. The decks vibrated. The screens flickered with glitching shadows. It's furious, Vale said. The Vraxis hit its mind. The hum rose into a sharp, angry pulse. More. The word echoed again through the ship. But this time, the voice was louder. And angrier. The ship suddenly surged forward, engines roaring like thunder. The crew grabbed anything they could to stay upright. Captain! Rhea shouted. It's charging their center formation. We're going straight into their strongest shields. Vale braced himself. Hold on. The Vraxis fired everything they had. Green fire. Plasma lances. Psychonic waves. The Blackstar absorbed all of it. Then it unleashed something horrifying. A storm of dark shards, like pieces of shadow, exploded from the ship. They cut through the Vraxis shield wall as though it were smoke. One by one, Vraxis shield bearers collapsed. Ships powered down. Engines died. Weapons shut off. Their brave formation shattered. Rhea whispered, Captain, the Vraxis counterattack is collapsing. No, Vale said quietly. They're being devoured. On the Vraxis flagship, even Commander Dravik felt his chest tighten. What is this thing? He shouted, voice cracking. No one answered. His officers trembled. Their shield bearers screamed. Their ships broke apart. For the first time in Vraxis history, an entire fleet knew fear. The ship slowed. The hum faded to a deep, satisfied throb. Rhea and Harlow looked at Vale with terror. Not fear of him, but fear of the thing he commanded. Captain, Rhea whispered. We cannot control this. It's fighting its own war. Vale exhaled slowly. I know. He looked through the screen at the wreckage of the Vraxis fleet. And if we don't stop it soon... He stared at the glowing red cracks running along the walls. The Blackstar will burn everything in the galaxy. Silence returned to the battlefield, but not the peaceful kind. It was the heavy silence that came after something terrifying moved past, like the quiet after a storm that destroyed too much. The Vraxis fleet floated in pieces. Flames drifted in the void like dying stars. The Blackstar moved slowly through the wreckage, shadows trailing along its hull like living smoke. The ship seemed satisfied. But inside the Blackstar, the crew was not. Rhea stared at the remains of the enemy ships on the screen. Her hands trembled, though she tried to hide it. Sir, she whispered, we lost control again. Vale kept his eyes on the display. Yes. Harlow slammed a console in frustration. This isn't a ship. It's a monster. It does what it wants, and we're just passengers. Without turning, Vale answered, we need to hold together. The core reacts to tension. It will strike again if we panic. But the bridge officers were already whispering among themselves. Fear spreading. Trust fading. The ship hummed softly. Listening. Hours passed. The Blackstar remained still, floating in the dark. Crew members moved quietly, avoiding speaking near the walls. Everyone understood now. The ship heard things. In the lower decks, Lieutenant Merrick gathered a small group. 10 officers. All angry. All afraid. What are we doing following Captain Vale? Merrick hissed. He knows the truth about the core and still brings us closer to danger. One engineer clenched his fists. This ship is alive. He said it himself. Alive and hungry. Merrick nodded. Exactly. And Vale wants to keep feeding it. If we want to survive, we have to take control. How? Another officer whispered. We can't even control the doors. Marek's eyes hardened. We take the captain and shut the ship down from the command throne. The others hesitated. The ship won't let us, one said quietly. Merrick leaned closer. It won't know. Not until it's too late. But they were wrong. The Blackstar always knew. On the bridge, the lights dimmed. Rhea frowned. Captain, The power levels are dropping. Vale looked around. Not dropping. Redirecting. Harlow's voice shook. Redirecting where? Vale answered slowly. Toward internal security. A deep metallic clang echoed through the halls. The ship's bulkheads shifted. Doors sealed. Lights flickered red. Rhea stiffened. Something's wrong in the lower decks. It's responding to something, Vale said. Something inside us. Before he could say more, the alarm blared. Unauthorized movement detected. Deck 7. Rhea's eyes widened. Sir, crew movement patterns. It looks like mutiny, Vale finished. Deck 7 was dark. Too dark. The lights trembled like fading candles. Merrick and his group approached the lift that led to the bridge. He whispered, "Keep quiet. If the captain won't act, we—" The hallway lights snapped to black. Someone screamed. A sudden metallic groan traveled through the corridor. The ship tightened the walls, just slightly, enough to warn them. "Move!" Merrick shouted. They ran. But the floor shifted under their feet. The hallway twisted, changing shape, forcing them into a narrow route. The Blackstar was hurting them. One officer tried to open a side door. The door slammed shut on his arm. He screamed until the ship released him. Blood covered the floor. Merrick pulled him up. "The ship is stopping us. Keep going." But the ship had no intention of letting them reach the bridge. The corridor lights flickered bright red. Then the doors at both ends closed. They were trapped. Back on the bridge, Rhea watched the security feed, horror growing in her eyes. "Sir, the ship is locking them in. It's controlling the halls like a maze." Harlow whispered, "It wants to kill them." Vale's face hardened. "Open the doors. The ship won't let us." Rhea cried. Vale stood from the command throne. "Then I'll speak to it." He placed a hand on the chair's dark surface. The lights dimmed. The hum softened. "Blackstar," Vale said calmly, "listen to me." The ship vibrated gently. "These are humans. Your crew. You will not harm them." The hum changed pitch. Confused. Almost curious. "You need us," Vale said. "All of us. Let them live." For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then slowly, the red lights faded. The doors unlocked. The hum softened to a calm pulse. The ship obeyed. For now. Security teams escorted Merrick and the mutineers to the brig. They were shaken, sweating, pale. Merrick glared at Vale as he passed. "This ship will turn on us," he said. "And when it does, no one will survive." Vale did not answer. Inside, he knew Merrick wasn't wrong. That night, Vale returned alone to the core chamber. The sphere floated silently, cracks glowing faintly. He stepped closer and whispered, "You cannot kill my crew. You will not control us." The core pulsed once. A whisper crawled through the room. Not a voice, more a feeling. "Fight." Vale's eyes narrowed. "Fight who?" The core pulsed again. Faster. Red light filled the chamber. Images rushed through Vale's mind. A far larger Vraxis armada. Warships the size of cities. An enormous structure burning with green fire. The Vraxis were preparing a final attack. A world-killer fleet. Vale staggered back, breathing hard. The core wanted war because it saw more war coming. Rhea appeared at the doorway, her voice shaky. "Captain, what did you see?" Vale turned to her slowly. "The Vraxis are bringing everything. Their full strength." He looked back at the glowing sphere. "And the Blackstar wants to meet them." The next morning, the Blackstar drifted at the edge of a dying star system. Broken ships and burnt metal floated everywhere. Silent reminders of the last battle. The crew moved quietly, avoiding the dark walls, afraid the ship might listen again. But Captain Vale was already preparing for something bigger. He stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the star maps. The screen showed one thing. A massive Vraxis superfleet forming at their home stronghold, the Crimson Bastion. A place no human ship had ever returned from. Rhea swallowed as she studied the readings. "Captain, this fleet is huge. Hundreds of warships. Maybe more. Harlow added quietly. "And whatever is powering that fortress, it's stronger than anything we've seen." Vale nodded. He already knew. The Blackstar had shown him a warning through the core. A final battle was coming. The crew gathered in the briefing room, their faces pale and tired. Harlow spoke first. "Sir, we can't face their full strength. We barely survived the last fight." Another officer added, "We can't trust the ship. It will take control again. Maybe it will kill us this time." Rhea stayed silent, but her eyes stayed focused on Vale. She waited for his answer. Captain Vale took a breath. "We don't have a choice. The Vraxis superfleet is preparing to strike Earth next." The room fell silent. Every human instinct tightened. "If Earth falls," Vale continued, "the war ends. Humanity ends." "But this ship," Harlow started. "This ship," Vale interrupted, "is our only chance. Whether we trust it or not, it gives us a chance that no other vessel can." The crew looked down. No one argued. Fear stayed, but duty remained stronger. The Blackstar entered slipspace, its hull stretching like a shadow in the void. The crew held onto their seats as the ship moved faster than normal engines allowed, faster than physics should allow. Through the viewports, slipspace looked like a tunnel of twisting light and darkness. The deeper they went, the more the ship reacted. Rhea whispered, "It feels like the ship is excited." Vale answered quietly, "It knows where we're going." The Blackstar pulsed with low, rhythmic energy. Not threatening, almost eager. It wanted to face the Vraxis superfleet. It wanted to fight. Slipspace tore open, and the Blackstar dropped back into real space. The bridge filled with alarms. Rhea gasped. "Sir, we're inside their territory." Harlow's voice shook. "This is suicide." The Crimson Bastion appeared on the screen, a giant fortress floating inside a blood-red nebula. Massive towers rose like claws. Energy beams crossed the sky, and around it, a swarm of Vraxis warships, destroyers, cruisers, dreadnoughts, titans, an entire war world. The fleet turned toward the Blackstar, glowing with hostility. "Sir," Rhea whispered, "they see us." Vale stood tall. "Let them." The ship's lights dimmed. A deep hum filled the bridge. The Blackstar was waking. The enemy fleet didn't wait. 1,000 bright beams shot toward the Blackstar. Everything shook. Sparks flew. The walls trembled. "We're hit!" Harlow shouted. Shields dropping. Vale gripped the command throne. "Hold steady." More beams slammed into them. Explosions flashed against the hull. Rhea yelled, "Sir, we can't take this." Her words stopped. The ship hummed. Dark energy formed along the hull. Black shadows crawled across the screens. Then, boom! A giant shockwave burst outward, knocking enemy ships off course. Harlow stared wide-eyed. The ship created its own shield? Rhea whispered, "No, it created something else." The Blackstar's shadow spread behind them like giant wings. And from those wings, thin dark tendrils reached out, touching the incoming beams and dissolving them. The crew fell silent. The ship was not defending itself. It was hunting. Vale's voice broke the silence. "We go straight for the fortress." The crew stared at him. "Sir?" Harlow asked. "Into the Crimson Bastion?" "Yes. But the fleet." "The ship will handle the fleet," Vale said firmly. "We focus on the Bastion. If we destroy the power core inside, their entire armada collapses." Rhea hesitated. "Captain, what if the Blackstar wants more than that? What if it wants to destroy everything here?" Vale looked at the dark walls. "I know." He stepped toward the command throne. "But I'm not giving this ship full control. Not again." He sat down. The throne pulsed. The ship reacted instantly. Energy surged through the Blackstar's hull. Rhea shouted, "Enemy ships moving. They're surrounding us." Harlow yelled, "We need orders." Vale closed his eyes. "Forward," he said calmly. "Straight into the heart of the fortress." The ship roared. The Blackstar accelerated with impossible speed. Enemy ships raced to block it. The first dreadnought opened fire. The blast hit, but shadows wrapped around the Blackstar, absorbing the impact like water hitting the ocean. The ship fired a single dark beam. The dreadnought split in half. 2 more ships attacked. The Blackstar tore through them like paper. Rhea gripped her console. "Sir, this is insane," Vale whispered. "We're almost there." The fortress glowed brighter as they approached. Green fires gathered at its central tower. Something huge awakened inside it. Harlow's voice cracked. "Sir, the Bastion is charging a world-killer cannon." Rhea turned pale. "Captain, if that fires, we die instantly." Vale stood from the throne, eyes cold. "Then we reach the core first." The Blackstar screamed forward, tearing through enemy lines. The Crimson Bastion aimed its giant cannon at them. The crew held their breath. The Blackstar's hum grew deeper. Something in the ship awakened fully, and everything turned dark. Darkness swallowed everything. For a moment, the crew of the USS Blackstar felt weightless, as if hanging inside an endless void. No sound, no alarms, no enemy fire. Even the ship itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, a single pulse of light spread through the bridge. The screens flared back to life. Rhea gasped. "Captain, we're inside the Crimson Bastion." Harlow stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. There were thousands of ships blocking us." Vale didn't answer. He looked around slowly. The Blackstar had teleported. Not through slipspace. Not through any known technology. It had blinked, leaping straight past the enemy fleet and into the fortress' deepest chamber. Behind them, sealed doors of alien metal glowed with Vrax's symbols. Ahead of them, a massive cavern stretched into darkness. The fortress's power core lay at the center, floating like a burning green star. Rhea whispered, "This is their heart." Vale stepped forward. "And this is where we end the war." The chamber trembled. Columns of green energy rose from the floor. Shadows moved across the walls like living creatures. The Vraxis were awake, and they knew the Blackstar was here. Dozens of heavy cannons emerged from the walls, pointing directly at the ship. "Captain!" Harlow shouted. "They're powering up." Vale jumped into the command throne. "Blackstar, move!" The ship responded instantly. A huge shockwave burst from its hull, tossing alien machinery aside and bending metal plates inward. The first volley of green energy hit the Blackstar. The ship staggered, but didn't fall. Rhea screamed, "Shields failing!" The walls trembled as if the ship itself was angry. Harlow yelled, "Sir, the fortress is charging the main core. If it fires, it will destroy this entire system." Vale clenched his fists. "Then we hit it first." The fortress's power core glowed brighter, lightning dancing around it. The energy inside looked like a star dying and being reborn at the same time. Rhea studied the readings. "Captain, that much power isn't natural. It feels unstable, dangerous." Vale stared at the massive green sphere. "It's not natural." The Vraxis built their weapon from something they didn't understand. A deep pulse echoed through the chamber. The Blackstar answered with a pulse of its own. Darker, deeper. For a terrifying moment, both cores resonated together. Harlow whispered, "Sir, the ship is connecting to it." Vale shouted, "Break the link! Now!" But the Blackstar didn't listen. It wanted the power. It wanted to consume the enemy's heart. And the fortress wanted to push back. The chamber shook as 2 impossible energies collided. Lights flickered. Panels sparked. Rhea grabbed Vale's arm. "Captain, stop it. If these cores merge, they'll tear this entire system apart," he finished, voice low. Harlow yelled, "We need to disconnect the Blackstar's core manually." Vale stood. "Rhea, with me." "Harlow, hold the ship together." Harlow shouted back, "Hold it together? It's holding us." Vale didn't answer. He and Rhea ran down the dark corridor, heading toward the core chamber. The ship shook violently. The walls bent. The lights turned blood red. It was resisting them. Rhea gasped, "It doesn't want us to interfere." The floor split open in front of them. Vale grabbed her and jumped across as metal spikes rose from below. The ship was fighting its own crew. Vale shouted, "Blackstar, stop!" The ship ignored him. Rhea whispered, "It doesn't know the difference between saving us and destroying everything." Vale narrowed his eyes. "Then we'll make it understand." They reached the core room. The sphere floated above its cradle, dark lines glowing like veins. It pulsed violently, syncing with the green Vraxis core in the fortress. The floor vibrated as two impossible energies tried to merge. Rhea yelled, "Captain, if we cut the power link here, we save the ship." Vale stepped forward. "Do it." She opened the access panel. Sparks flew. Almost there. The ship hissed around them, metal bending. "Rhea, hurry! I'm trying!" The Blackstar screamed. Not in sound, but in pressure, in energy, in raw force. And then, Rhea pulled the final lock. The dark core froze. The fortress core exploded in green flames. A blast wave rushed toward them. Vale grabbed Rhea and covered her as the chamber shook. Back on the bridge, Harlow saw the explosion signatures. "Sir, the fortress core is collapsing." Vale's voice crackled through the comm. "Harlow, get the ship out of here. Now." "But how? The slipspace drives are failing." "Then push them anyway." Harlow's hands shook. "We might tear the ship apart." Vale shouted, "Do it." Harlow slammed the controls. The Blackstar roared. Slipspace opened in front of them like a dark wound. The collapsing fortress fired one last desperate blast. It hit the Blackstar. The ship screamed. And then, everything vanished into slipspace. Hours later, the ship drifted near a quiet blue star. Burned, cracked, exhausted, but alive. On the bridge, the surviving crew slowly returned to their stations. Rhea leaned on the console, breathing hard. Harlow whispered, "We made it." Vale stepped onto the bridge. His uniform torn, face bruised, but he stood tall. Rhea smiled weakly. "Sir, the fortress?" Vale looked out at the comm stars. "Gone. With it, their war machine. The fleet outside it died when its power collapsed." Harlow whispered, "Then the war?" Vale nodded slowly. "It's over." The crew finally exhaled. The Blackstar's lights flickered softly. Not angry. Not hungry. For the first time since it was created, the ship rested. Vale placed a hand on the command throne. "Good work," he whispered. The Blackstar hummed gently, as if saying, "Until the next battle."